I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
It's the most awfully good time of the year, my friends, and of course, I'm talking about Christmas time. A time of year when snow falls from the sky, our houses are adorned in lights, and people put aside their differences in the name of love and acceptance. But for me, it's a time when I've got to pick from the endless procession of god-awful Christmas movies for my last review of the year. And this holiday, I'm looking at the third and final installment of the Santa Claus trilogy. Back in 1994, the Santa Claus was instantly embraced as a modern-day Christmas classic, with Tim Allen as a businessman father who accidentally kills off Santa Claus, puts on his magic coat, and inherits his powers. Then 8 years later came the Santa Claus 2, The Mrs. Claus, which became another box office success. But Disney went a clause too far in 2006 with the Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause. Because even with the addition of Martin Short as Jack Frost to the cast, critics tore the movie apart. It got its ass beat by Borat at the box office that weekend.
It's nice.
And with its 5 Razzie nominations, this one finally marked the end of the Santa Claus series. But hey, I did enjoy the first 2 Santa Clauses back in my younger days, so this is the perfect time of year to finally watch the third one and give it a shot. And just a warning though, even though this movie is from a production company called Boxing Cat Films, there will be no boxing cats in this movie. Well, looks like I've got to do everything around here. So the last time we saw ad executive turned jolly old elf Scott Calvin, played by Tim Allen, he found his Mrs. Claus in high school principal Carol Newman, played by Elizabeth Mitchell, and was able to keep being Santa Claus. Now it's 4 years later, and Scott and Carol are now expecting a little Claus. But even amidst this happy situation, Carol's grown depressed over leaving her family behind to come to the North Pole, while her husband is too busy prepping for Christmas to focus on her.
Family. We are your family, right, elves? We're her family, right?
We love you, Mrs. Claus!
We accept a one of us. Super down, super down.
But Scott and his elves come up with a brilliant idea to bring her parents over for a visit, those parents being played by Alan Arkin and Ann-Margret. However, her parents think that Scott is just a toy maker in Canada. So Scott comes up with an idea to disguise the North Pole to look like Canada and cover up his secret identity.
It's North in North America. Hey, vinegar on their French fries. They sit on the Chesterfield, watch the hockey game, shoot the puck. Daddy-o!
Actually, I think they put gravy on their French fries, not vinegar, but who cares? That's a dumb fucking idea, and you know it. At the same time, the daughter of Scott's ex-wife Laura wants to come visit the North Pole, and Scott is guilted into letting her visit, along with Laura and her husband Neil, because Judge Reinhold needs something to do in this movie, or else the poor guy's gonna get arrested in another airport. And in the middle of these dueling family visits is Jack Frost, played by Martin Short, who's been trying to upstage Santa during the Christmas season because he's jealous he doesn't have his own holiday, and that very few kids know who he is.
You know, the Jack Frost?
Never heard of you.
I'm a legendary figure too, with enormous power in my own right.
Okay, chill.
I invented chill!
Ah yes, but he did not invent Netflix and chill, and that fact has haunted Jack Frost for his entire life. So this finally leads us to the escape clause of the title, a clause in Scott's Santa contract where if he holds a magic snow globe and makes a wish to never become Santa at all, he can go back in time and prevent his past self in 1994 from ever becoming Santa. When Jack Frost finds out about this clause, he goes about sabotaging Santa's workshop in order to embarrass him in front of his in-laws, sour his relationship with his wife, and make him wish he never became Santa Claus, so that Jack Frost can alter the timeline himself and become Santa Claus instead of Scott. And you'd think this whole time-traveling alternate universe stuff would be a fun thing for the movie to play with, in the tradition of A Christmas Carol, or It's a Wonderful Life. Not so much though, because most of the movie is just this dumb, loud sitcom with Scott trying to impress his in-laws and trying to hide his Santa business from them. And it feels more like a Home Improvement Christmas special than it does a movie. The only bright spot in the middle of this shit is Alan Arkin, because no one plays old crotchety Jewish guy better than Alan Arkin.
Who are you? What's wrong with you? you people. How about that, Sil? Our grandchild is being born in the broom closet of a Canadian toy factory.
Seriously, if Larry David's ever too busy to play Bernie Sanders on SNL, they need to give Alan Arkin a call. But then you've got the rest of the movie, where Scott wishes he was never Santa Claus and finds himself in an alternate timeline where he's still an ad executive, and Biff Tannen used the sports almanac to take over Hill Valley. No, I'm kidding. But Jack Frost does end up becoming Kenny Rogers, though.
I'm Kenny Rogers!
From here, the movie does grow slightly less formulaic and more interesting. Namely because Martin Short really does know how to salvage the crappiest of movies with his talents for song, dance, and comedy. But by then, it's too late. And Santa Claus 3 ends up being the textbook definition of an unnecessary sequel. You could practically feel the actors and writers coasting on autopilot, just making a sequel because they could, not because they had to. But hell, I don't know. It does imbue you with a little bit of that Christmas spirit. And at the end of the day, I've seen far worse Tim Allen Christmas movies. So for those of you looking for a good, bad Christmas movie, you're better off sticking with the first two Santa Clauses. But this one is not without its charms. Now it's time to get ready for next Christmas, when I'll be reviewing the next installment of the Santa Claus franchise, The Sanity Claus.
You can't fool me. There ain't no Sanity Claus.
You better not pout, you better not cry, you better open up the whiskey and rye. It's time for the awfully good drinking game. Take a shot or drink every time Jack Frost uses his freezing breath. Hey, as long as he doesn't start doing ice puns, I think we'll be okay.
Freeze winter, ice cold, cool, ice frost, winter ice.
Tim Allen mispronounces Canada.
Canada. Canada! They fall asleep and they dream they're on a wonderful flight to Canada.
Hey, that isn't the way we're supposed to say Canada, at least over here in America.
America.
Santa goes ho ho ho.
Ho, 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 ho. Ho, ho, ho.
You know, I think the whole reason they made the Santa Claus movies is that a Disney executive heard Tim Allen doing those grunting noises on Home Improvement and said to himself, wait a minute, that kind of sounds like Santa. I have an idea! And take a double shot when Alan Arkin makes a sick Tom Cruise diss.
Everybody's just so petite.
No, Tom Cruise is petite. These people are short.
Oh, snap.
As well as for the 2 times you see an Abigail Breslin cameo. I mean, that makes sense. She was also in Little Miss Sunshine with Alan Arkin that same year, which gave him an Oscar. Now they're in Santa Claus 3, which gave him everlasting shame and self-hatred for throwing his career away. And on the nudie watch, you aren't gonna get a damn thing in this G-rated Disney movie. But still, this movie isn't without its surprisingly kinky moments.
Is there anything I can do?
Yeah, why don't you put a chill on my bottom for me? Come on.
That's right, kids. What sums up Christmas better than Santa offering someone to blow on his ass? On the enjoyableness continuum scale from Bull to Bruce, the Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause, is at the very least only the second worst Tim Allen Martin Short movie I had to see this year, and fills our stockings with a 5 out of 10. Now, if only I could go back in time to ensure we get 2 Galaxy Quest sequels instead of 2 Santa Claus sequels. I'm Jesse Schaefer, JoBlo.com, and thanks once again for another awfully great year of awfully good movies. So for all my viewers out there, may your new year be happy, and may your Christmas be merry.